Okay, so for today's episode, we're going to talk about something that is probably the most common challenge mentally that students face. And this is going to be true from sixth grade all the way to senior year. In fact, I'm going to make an estimate, I'm going to make a guess that you're going to agree with me that it's actually more challenging the younger the child is than the older the child is. So let's see if I'm right. Today, we're talking about mental health, and we're talking specifically about stress. Now, before some of you tune out and say, well, I don't have stress, I know how to deal with stress, I understand how to deal with this, and you get agitated, note you're becoming agitated. So, with that in mind, it's school. We have to talk about stress. I'm going to start here. Am I right that stress is actually harder for the younger child to deal with than the older child?
I would say that it definitely can be, partly because younger kids, their brains aren't as developed and they don't have as many skills and they're not as equipped to deal with or to even understand why they're feeling how they're feeling. I would say on the flip side, older kids such as high school students, they may have more things to be stressed out about because they have more responsibilities and more pressures, so they have more things to be stressed out about.
So this goes back to our previous discussion about having emotions. Mm-hmm. Emotions are okay. Absolutely. We've talked about how I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm worried, I'm anxious. All those things are okay. It's how we address them. And so speaking from that younger student's perspective, how do you work with students that are a little bit younger on dealing with the newer stresses of coming into that junior high situation, number of peer situation, you have different classes, different teachers, different topics, a little more out of the cocoon, but also you're starting to add a lot of athletics, you're starting to add a lot of different things that maybe little kids don't recognize or realize, but become real stressors at junior high.
So I would say just having an open conversation with them about what's bothering you most or what is being most difficult for you right now and trying to problem solve around that. Because sometimes it's even just identifying that they're feeling something but they can't really say why. So it's asking kind of probing questions. Is something going on here at school? Is there something bothering you at home? Things like that, just to try and figure out what is the source of their stress or their frustration. So that way, if we find out the source of it, then we can problem solve around that.
Now, the other thing to remember is I mentioned, and I kind of framed this in terms of younger students, and you mentioned not knowing where the stress is coming from, not knowing where the feelings are coming from, and identifying that first. But that is not something that is exclusive to younger students. That's something that, to be honest, adults, as a certified adult, is that something that you also have to walk yourself through from time to time? Where is the stress coming from? Why am I like this?
Absolutely. Having that self-awareness and being able to kind of reflect and think about, okay, what's going on around me that's causing me to feel this way inside? That's a huge first step to, being more aware of yourself and taking care of your mental health, is to do that self-reflection and kind of spend some time and think about what's going on with you and what might be causing you to feel a certain way.
And what's the problem with stress? I mean, let's be honest, we're high school kids or we're junior high kids and we have sports and we have school. I'm just stressed, that's the way life is, get over it. And what's wrong with it? What are the impacts of stress, particularly prolonged stress?
Well, first off, not all stress is bad. That's the number one thing. Not all stress is bad. Stress can be motivating. It can help you stay focused. It can help you stay on task and get goals accomplished. So stress in and of itself isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like you said, when it's prolonged or chronic, or you feel like I'm so stressed out I can't handle anything, that's when it becomes a problem. And some of the long-term effects of being stressed out could be, your self-esteem could suffer, your grades could suffer, your academic performance could suffer, your relationships could suffer. So there's a multitude of ways that having long-term stress that hasn't been dealt with can impact someone's life.
So once I identify, you know what, I'm not just regular stress. I'm not just that baseline level of motivated or baseline level of moving through life, that my stress has elevated to a level. What are some of the signs that I'm getting to that overstressed point? Give me some things that I might be feeling or that others might be reacting to in my life that say maybe I'm getting above that healthy level.
So some things that you might be feeling: agitated, like tiny little things set you off. A short temper, again, being overwhelmed and not knowing what thing I need to tackle first to try and solve some of the stress that's in your life. That's another thing. Kind of helplessness and hopelessness, like you said, I'm stressed out, I'm always going to be stressed out, this is never going to go away. Other people might see that as you being distant or spaced out or negative or just kind of snippy. So there's a lot of different ways that stress can present itself.
So if I have my peers, if I have my friends asking all the time, why are you so mad? Why are you so upset? Why does this bother you? Or would those be some at least indicators that maybe I need to take a step back and look at my behavior?
I would definitely say that if the people that know and love you and are closest to you are noticing that there's changes in your demeanor or your behavior, that might be something that you want to take a minute and think about.
And is that going to be something that's a common thread through a lot of our discussions for mental health, is that when those people that are around you the most, or maybe those people that you know care for you the most, when they start reacting to things that might be early warning signs on a lot of these issues that we're going to discuss?
I would definitely agree with that, because usually we're so entrenched in our own behavior that sometimes we miss that self-awareness piece. But like you said, the people around us, they're going to notice those changes in your behavior and your demeanor and the way that you're coping with things. So if they seem off for a while, not like I'm having a bad day, I had a real big test and I bombed it, but if you're stressed out and upset for days, weeks, months at a time, that's going to be something that's going to be apparent to the people around you. And that's when they're probably going to ask you, like, are things okay? What's going on? What can we do?
Well, and that is important, but some people will say, well, I'm stressed because of X, Y, and Z, and I can't control that. Is that a valid answer to stress?
I would say that sometimes, yes, there are always going to be things that are going to bother you that you don't have direct control over. However, the one thing that I always tell kids that you do have control over is your own reaction to situations. And really, life is about 10% of what happens and 90% of how you respond to it.
And so, for example, if I'm in my classes, I have science, I have math, I have English, I have history, and then I have my other classes on top of that, but I'm in athletics right now.
So number one, I validate the stress. You do have a lot going on. There are a lot of things that you're trying to juggle. So that's the first thing, is like, you probably should feel stressed out when you have all of that going on, and that's normal. Now I would question, what can we eliminate? What parts of those stressors can we eliminate? If it's the scheduling, okay, let's look at your schedule day by day and see, where are we spending the most time? How can we get the most bang for your buck with the hours that we have in the day? And it's about prioritizing. It's about, we've all got the same 24 hours a day. We all need to eat, sleep, and do things like that. But a lot of people really aren't maximizing their time. So that's when I talk about kids with their schedule. Are you using your class time wisely? Are you using that time to get work done? Are you asking questions of your teachers if you're confused or need help? Okay, when you get home, how many hours do you have then? Are you using that time wisely? And then another part of managing the stress is about learning to use coping skills to deal with that stress, on top of prioritizing and using your time wisely. So if you are stressed out, what kind of things do you enjoy doing that make you feel calmer and make you feel better about yourself?
Okay, so this is actually my next question. So what you're telling me is video games are bad. That's what you just heard. I heard that.
Nope.
Oh, no?
Nope.
Why not?
I would say that video games can be bad, like anything, if they're done in excess to where it becomes a problem and you're neglecting other responsibilities. But I tell kids all the time, if that's something that you enjoy, that calms you down, that can be a great break in a coping skill.
So video games, within reason or used correctly, can be that break, that mental break, where I go over here and I disappear for 15 or 20 minutes, and maybe even I set an alarm on my phone
Mm-hmm.
that's my time for this.
Absolutely.
Or give me something else. Give me another coping skill besides prioritizing and setting some limits on some of those other activities.
Some other frequently used coping skills, just talking. Whether it's to a family member, to a friend, to a school social worker. Anyone that you trust to talk to and to listen to is another great one. Journaling is a great one. Going for a walk is a great one. Doodling, coloring, singing, dancing. I mean, there's limitless. There is some sort of magic when you vent and get those thoughts and feelings just out of your head. Because we tend to, when we stress or worry about things, it's like a broken record in your head that just goes over and over and over. So when you journal about it or you talk with someone about it and you get those thoughts and feelings kind of off the broken record, you're able to kind of move past it and work forward instead of being stuck in that loop.
A 20-minute walk does not stop you from doing homework. In fact, it probably helps you do the homework. It's just like getting caught in trying to write that paper or just trying to do that math problem or get that science lab done, and you're just grinding and grinding and grinding. As people, we need to step back and let our brain catch up to what we're doing. I think the big takeaway for today is you need to take action. When you have that input from others or you feel that stress coming on, we need to do our 90% and we need to take some sort of action to address it.
Absolutely.
And I think that's also going to be another one of those common threads that we're going to find for mental health. Take action.
And take care of yourself.